You are not going to believe some of these stats. Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor. Now, look, I have been hearing that it is a terrible time to buy. Don't buy in Austin. Don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. I have some stats that actually might change your opinion on that. Secondly, I actually have some news that might make you as a consumer, I don't know, you tell me, change your mind on buying, especially at the end of this year, into 2025. There's some new stats out that might actually show this is a good time to buy. Now, I know what you're going to say, Jeremy Knight, you're a realtor, so you're always going to say it's a good time to buy. I'm telling you, I, as an investor, am looking at all of these deals. So you as a home buyer, some of the things you're being told, maybe not exactly what you want to hear. Now, if you're a seller, this is absolutely the video to pay attention to because there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to impact you as a home seller at the end of 2024 and in 2025. Let's get started. Now, first off, the interest rates are not looking much better as we are right now. They dropped real quick right after the election, and now they are back up to 7.12. So really, mortgage rates haven't done much. Now the CPI news came out, and so that hasn't really helped things. We also had inflation news that inflation is kind of being a little sticky, and the Fed did cut, but it didn't really cut a whole lot. So we're going to see some shakiness still in the housing market, but don't worry. I have some stats that might change your mind on whether it is now the best time to buy or not. So let's look at the Austin numbers. So this is the MSA. I'm going to show you the charts here in a second. And look, there's some really important stats I'm going to tell you right at the end of these charts. So number one, year over year, Austin is down 3.2% at $430,000 is the median. Wouldn't you know, the median for the entire US is right at $427, almost $430,000. So the Austin MSA is now at the US median. Interesting fact there. And what's also interesting is that closed sales were still pretty high for this time of year. They were down 1.5, but that's year over year. That's still pretty high. Active listings. Now, this number here, the actual inventory is down quite a bit, but there are year over year active inventory. There's more inventory than last year. For a buyer, I would be listening to what I'm about to tell you next, though, because here's where things are going to get interesting for you as a buyer, because more inventory means more possibilities. Right here, this number that says 92.7%. I have a stat in a second that's going to actually show you something different. That's 92% of list to close price ratio. So even though homes that are on the market are selling, they're selling almost 8% below list price in the Austin area. So if you're a buyer, there's some things I'm going to tell you in a second that might help you out, especially with those pesky interest rates. Now, 5.1 months of inventory, that's the Austin MSA. That's a lot of inventory for the Austin MSA. Let me get to Austin itself because these numbers are a little bit different. Austin itself, the city of Austin, is only down 0.5% year over year. When I show you these on a chart, it's going to make a lot more sense. 5.9 months inventory. That is still a lot of inventory. Now it says new listings are up 10%, but that's year over year. Month over month, they are down. So they've actually come down a little bit. We're going to show you that. In fact, last month's month of inventory was higher. It was over 6 months and it came down to 5.9. But look at this stat right here. This is the one we want. List to close price ratio is 91.4%. Now, let's look at this on the map. So this is the Austin numbers right here. Austin itself, the MSA, even though it says it's down, is still higher than it was 21, 22, 23. That's Austin itself, not the MSA. That's Austin itself. So if we look at what happens the last half of the year, we might see prices drop down one more month and then level off like they do every year. But look what happens most years. We see prices increase this early months of the year. Now, is that going to happen this year? That is the big question. I don't think that we're going to see prices jump up as much at the beginning of the year. And because a lot of the stuff that's pulling off the market right now is going to be putting itself back in the market. Because here's what happens this time of the year, everybody's getting ready for the end of the year. They're getting ready for the holidays. So they start pulling their homes off the market. So what you're going to see is that you're going to see more inventory January, February, March, which means we might not see a huge uptick in prices. So real quick, before I show you that stat, Let me show you the Austin MSA. The Austin MSA is down below the last 3 years. So prices are more affordable. They're right at that median price of $430,000, which makes my next point even more important. So this is buyer demand. Buyer demand is showing us that things are selling 91.7% of list to close price ratio. But here's what is interesting. The homes that are selling right now in our market are selling under 500K, largely under 500K. Now, I love the stats that they've been giving us recently with the MLS here. But look at this. Most of the sales are under 500K. And if you want to know what this stat is, here are the actual stats. Last month in October, 63% of the homes that sold were under 500K. What about the median price, $430,000? $430,000, 52% of the homes last month sold were under $430,000. The active inventory, look, here's the active inventory right here. This is my website, TKG Residential. Look at this. Look at all the homes under 500K. It is a lot. The amount of inventory on the market under 500K is 53%. Under 430,000 brings it down about 48%. So a lot of homes on the market are under $500,000. It's a lot of homes on the market. So going back to this, and this is where my points in a second are going to make a lot of sense. If you're a home buyer right now and you're concerned, you're saying, Jeremy, you said the interest rates were 7.15% or 12%. Here's what's interesting. All of these home builders, like Highland Homes, like MI Homes, are doing buy downs. So you're going to have a lot of inventory. You have builders that have a lot of inventory. Right now is the opportunity to come in, especially November, December, and put something under contract before the end of the year, because these builders are going to do deals. We have been putting buyers under contract with new construction for really, really good deals, below list price, and we're getting 4.25 interest rate or below interest rate, or they're giving them money towards buying down the rate. Now, if you're going to be buying resale, you're thinking, okay, me as a home seller, I can't compete with that. Well, we've been partnering with lenders to actually talk about what that number looks like. So in fact, I have one that just closed that did a 2-1. The seller that we represented did a 2-1 buy down. It was like around $13,000. The sellers got exactly the price they wanted. They gave the seller, or they gave the buyer $13,000 towards closing costs. That buyer did a 2-1 buy down. So they're at like 3.5% the first year, and then it goes up. So if rates do drop down, which we don't know if they will, you are able to refinance 2 or 3 years later. Now, I don't like the whole marry the home, date the rate nonsense, but that is essentially what this means. I don't like that term. I hate when agents say that term, marry the home, date the rate. But look, builder confidence. Now, if you remember a video the other day, I talked about how builders were excited that Trump took office, right? They put out a thing, an excerpt. I'm not telling you to be excited about it, but I'm just telling you, look, 41 actually is the consumer confidence in September. And then in October, right now it's at 47%. So that's a bump probably because of Trump taking office, but still that's below 50%. Builders want to get this off their books. And here is exactly why the end of this year and the beginning of 2025 is the best time to buy. Number one, there's going to be a lot of inventory next year. Number two, look at these stats. This stat is not good for you as a consumer, because look at this. New builds starts are way down. Okay, right now we have the inventory right now. It's up. We have the inventory. The inventory is hitting the market. So this red line is showing you homes that are completed. Homes that are completed are at a high. New build starts are at a low. What does that mean? If new build starts continue to drop, which they have been dropping, that means, and the builder confidence doesn't really improve, that means there's going to be less inventory for you as a buyer in the last half of 2025. Because remember, all of these new construction homes take 8, 10, 12, 24 months to build. So 2025 and the end of this year might be the actual best time for you to buy. Now you're saying, Jeremy, you're a realtor. Look, I'm trying to buy really good deals off market right now. And in fact, we're helping buyers off market because I'm looking at these stats, knowing that prices in 2026, 2027 most likely are going to be up. Here's the Austin numbers, right? Even the Austin numbers for new construction are dropping. Here's September. We had a high in July of 3,500 starts. Now we're back down. But if you look going back to the pandemic, we had stuff that was way higher this entire time. So we are seeing new construction starts down, which means that a lot of these new build neighborhoods, right now is the time to get the deals on these. Right now is the time to negotiate with sellers. Sellers, I would be very cautious in early 2025 listing, because we may not see a huge, if we don't see rates drop, you still may be competing with builders. Now, look, one stat that I really did want to show on this, and this is what's really important. It goes back to that 500K, is this stat right here. Look at this stat. Over $1.4 million is at 7.8 months of inventory. Right around $1 million is 5 months of inventory. Look how much inventory is still available under 500K. You have 4.3 months under 500K, and under 400K, 3.1 months of inventory. Where's all that inventory? Well, let's go back to my sheet here. All of that inventory is down south, Kyle Buda, right? That's where we're helping a lot of clients in Kyle Buda under 500K. The east side, there's stuff under 500K. And then as we go up north, there's a lot of stuff 500K. So you're not really buying close into downtown if you're wanting a big home, but there's lots of months of inventory when it comes to this other stuff. These higher price ranges, we have lots of inventory. Now, what's interesting is the right around $1 million is only about 3 months of inventory, which is interesting because I'm helping clients in the 3+ million range right now of a few, and there's really not very good inventory in that mark. But when I change this, you're going to find something very interesting here. When I change this to condos, my downtown condo people, check out the months of inventory. 13 months of inventory over 1.4 million, 23 months of inventory between 1.3 million, almost 23 months between 6 and 600,000. So if you're wanting a condo and you're wanting those sweet deals, that's where you go right there. Okay. So if you like information like this and you want more information like this, and you want some agents that are actually doing things like this, I'm always looking at this for our clients. Look, you don't have to buy. You don't have to buy with us. I'm not telling you to buy, but if you're looking at this information going, yes, it is time to buy, maybe I'm wrong. You tell me in the comment section. Am I right? Am I wrong? We'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a friend.